Assalamualaikum everyone, it's my Sarah. How are you guys doing? I hope everyone is doing okay at home, yeah? Salam Ramadan. Today I am not alone. I'll be accompanied by my three other friends that will be talking about climate change. But before that, do you guys know that COVID-19 is actually good to the earth? Surprising. Yeah, Miss Corona has been very popular these days and has caused many deaths. I know some people are having these difficulties in adapting this pandemic outbreak and some people are losing their jobs, but let's look this in a positive way.
Today marked the first day in Malaysia ever since Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has declared that the country will be placed under the restriction movement order to curb the COVID-19, a global pandemic.
So after the announcement of RMO, MCO, lockdown, hashtag staying at home, people are staying indoors, people are working at home, and we are having online classes. This lockdown has forced the market, factories, shops, and even places of worship to be closed. And most of the public transport are suspended. People cannot travel freely like they did before. And this has contributed to the drop in air pollution. Not only that, do you know that the percentage of carbon emission and nitrogen dioxide is also dropping? This is why I said that COVID-19 is actually good to the earth. No worries, staying at home is not that bad because we are helping the environment, so keep on staying at home and help the government. I have mentioned on carbon emission, and do you guys know that carbon emission is actually the huge contributor to the climate change? So here is the 5 things you need to know about climate change. Okay, the first one, the earth temperature has gone up and down from year to year, but for half of the century it has gone up a lot. The second part is carbon dioxide harms the environment, and we have increased the amount nearly by half since 1960s. The third one, the Arctic Sea is shrinking and the glaciers is retreating worldwide. The sea has risen up to 3 feet or more by 2100. The fourth one, the number of climate-related disasters has tripled since 1980s. And lastly, 9 out of 10 climate scientists has agreed that carbon emission is the huge contributor to the global warming. So, what is carbon emission? I will explain on the carbon emission in the next video, which I will use the carbon emission as footprint.
You have probably been hearing a lot about climate change and how you should reduce your carbon footprint. But what's that exactly? Just like an actual footprint, it's a mark you leave upon the environment. No, not with your shoes, but with every action that releases carbon. Those are the harmful gases such as CO2, which are pumped out by burning fossil fuels like oil or gas. And the more fuel is used, the bigger your footprint will be. You may think that by driving your car, the only carbons you release come from the engine, but no. Consider the carbons are emitted just to get fuel in the tank, from the energy needed to extract the oil from the underground, the pollution caused by the transportation and refinement, to the final delivery to your local petrol station. Not to mention the CO2 released by manufacturing your car in the first place. So unless you live in a cave, you and everything you own has its own carbon footprint. Read a book, printing and distributing it uses energy. Brush your teeth, and your tools will have a history in a factory. Even something as basic as an apple could have traveled hundreds or even thousands of miles to end up in your local supermarket. You see, it's pretty much impossible to leave no carbon footprint behind. But by thinking about your actions and personal choices, maybe you can make your feet just that little bit smaller and really help to put the boot into the climate change.
I hope you get the clear explanation on carbon emission. So the person after me will explain on why it is important to reduce the number of carbon emission in the atmosphere.
Hi guys! Me is Farah Nazira and me is want to continue to explain about the topics that we are being discussed today. So as Maisara has explained to you guys just now about those climate change thingy, so I will explain more about the effects of failing to take action to control this climate change. So this climate change have consequences on our oceans, our weathers, our food sources, and also our health. Ice sheets such as Greenland and Antarctica are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal region. Warmer temperature also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops become more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smoke. This is because smoke contains ozone particles which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smoke can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. We are focusing on one of the climate change, which is carbon emission. Maisara has explained to you guys just now about what is carbon emission. Can you guys imagine if we try to reduce carbon emission, what will happen? So as the temperature is getting lower, it will make the weather become better and no more frequent droughts and so on. So growing crops also will become more easier. It will also decrease the number of people that having health problems. However, there are also harms if we try to reduce carbon emission. Guys, can you take a while guess what country is reduce its carbon emissions the most? Is it Canada, France, Britain?
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong.
The answer to that question is US of A. As the latest World Climate Report from BP Statistical Review of World Energy finds that in 2017, America reduced its carbon emission by 0.5%. The economy in USA grew by nearly 3%, so they had more growth and less pollution. The world's largest emitter of carbon dioxide emission is China. According to the Institute of Energy Research, China produced 28% of the world's carbon dioxide emission. So we take a look on the next information that will be shared to you guys.
Hello, welcome to my channel. So I'm Farahin. Thank you, my Sarah and Farah, for inviting me to join this session. So today I'm going to share with you on what are the attempts that has been done and need to be done to curb the climate change. So firstly, there is an agreement that is called COP21 Paris Agreement that is undertook by 195 countries in 2016. Its aim is to ensure that the global temperature rise to be below than 2 degrees Celsius. So the framework is called INDC, which stands for Intended Nationally Determined Contribution. By contributions, it comprises some implementation of policies, provision of incentives, and imposition of penalties. So this so-called pledge has been adopted since the Kyoto Protocol in 1992, but that one, the number of participating countries was not as much as the current one, okay, the COP21 Paris Agreement. Because, for example, in the Kyoto Protocol, the only country that represents the Asia constituent was Japan. But in the latest agreement, which is the Paris Agreement, there are a lot of participating countries, including our beloved country, Malaysia. So, talking about Malaysia, let us scrutinize on what are the promises that has been made by Malaysia to curb their climate change. So there are actually a quite number of targets in the Malaysian INDC, but I think I decide to explain on food security. Because why? Because why not? Well, yeah, I know it's Ramadan, but I guess we need food to survive. So let's talk about it. So first, I'm gonna tell you what does food security has to do with climate change. So basically, when we talk about food security, it is regarding the sustainability, availability of nutritious food to be consumed by people. So the correlation between food security and the climate change can be best illustrated with one example. Okay, so imagine that you're a farmer, but then due to climate change, there is a rise in temperature and it will affect the water availability in your soil. So it will affect your crops, people. So in the long run, it will affect the number of production of your crops. So how are we gonna deal with this? How? So that's why Malaysia has included the food security matter in the INDC. So let us look on what are the contents on the food security provision. Okay, so Malaysia wants to increase the production of food and also agro-based products. So in the 10th Malaysia plan, there is an allocation of 5.1 billion ringgit Malaysia on food production and also agro-based products. But in this current Malaysian plan, which is the 11th Malaysian plan, there's no specific outlines on how to increase the production and stuff, but there is a general aspiration that the government want to focus more on the research and development activities. So in translating the aspiration into action, the government has actually legislated some policies regarding agriculture and agro-based activities. Okay, so the policies are the National Agri-Food Policy and the National Commodity Policy. Okay, so among the initiatives that has been taken by the government is by providing subsidies and grants for the food producers. So for example, I'm sure that you're very familiar with the government agency, MPOB, Malaysian Palm Oil Board, which provides grants for oil palm producers. And because of that, we are on the second rank of the world's main producers for palm oil. But that is for palm oil, not rice. That's the problem. How are we gonna sustain? What will happen to our future generation without rice? Come on, guys. What will happen to them? So that's why something has to be done. Because as you can see, when you're doing groceries, there are a lot of imported rice, especially from the Thailand, our neighboring region. That is sad to know that we can actually produce rice, but we are importing it from other people. Come on, guys, do something. So I think you have a clear picture on the chronology on how does the excessive carbon emission can cause a global rise in temperature, and thus it will give a lot of negative implications, including it will affect the basic necessities in your life. So what are you gonna do about it? Are you just gonna sit and do nothing? I'm sure that you knew the answer. Okay, so now I think you get some ideas on what are the times that have been done and what are the changes that need to be done. I don't explain everything because I think it's up to you and also other countries on how do they decide to control all of these things. And when I talk about food, it makes me hungry. But I'm fine. So I think that's all from me. Thank you for listening, and I'll leave you with another YouTuber. Bye.
Guys, Assalamualaikum. Welcome to my channel Fakta Little. And you guys are with me, and usually my friends call me Miss Primpao. Okay guys, today our main discussion in my YouTube channel regarding the issue of climate change, and I'm sure that you guys familiar with the terms of climate change, but whether you guys aware or not. Am I right? Okay, but it's okay. I got one question from my friends. What are differences between developed country and developing country, and whether the developed country must take greater responsibility to take an actions and bear more costs in addressing the issue of climate change rather than developing country. Who will take this responsibility? It will become the big question and main our discussion today. Okay, but before that, okay, you guys can answer this question, okay? But first thing first, okay, don't forget to subscribe this video. Okay? Okay, first and foremost, the differences between developed and developing country, okay. The developed country can be referred as the industrial country because have advanced technology infrastructure, matured and sophisticated economy, and their society also can freely access, okay, to get the good quality of healthcare, higher education, and also can access to the public facility without limitation.
A developed country has a high GDP, life expectancy, literacy rate, energy consumption, infrastructure, and control of their environment. A developed country has relatively low population growth and a low reliance on agriculture as technology has advanced enough to lower its dependence.
But when it comes to the developing country, okay, can be referred as the nation that not yet achieve the industrial part because they live in the lowest living standards, okay. Other than that, okay, they also lack in context of infrastructure investment, but time to time they are trying to move to the betterment in parts of economy and socially investment.
Developing countries are heavily agricultural. Although there are many farms, it is subsistence farming. This farming does not allow the farmers to get ahead. They are only, if lucky, able to grow enough to provide for their family. The best route out of poverty is education. Often it's a lack of access to education, but sometimes the life or family demands do not allow for opportunities to be educated in developing countries. Even in the United States, a child of poverty enters school with a vocabulary disadvantage.
Okay, I think you guys have the better understanding what are the difference between developed country and developing country. Okay, to answer the question that I got from my friend, okay, just now, from my personal point of view, when it's come in addressing the issue of the climate change, it's a collective responsibility. Now, all the countries, including developing ones, must address the issue of the climate change. But once it comes with the principle, okay, that said, common but different responsibility, okay, from this can be said that, okay, it's more rely on the developed country. Why developed country? Because due to the fact that developed country are the country that release most greenhouse gas every day, and also their economy, their advanced economy shows that, okay, developed country can absorb the cost to address the issue of climate change. Okay, from what I said just now, okay, it's become the responsibility, okay, for a developed country to address these issues of the climate change. However, okay, there was some accident happen in that times, okay, that I will explain later. But before that, I want to ask you guys, did you guys know and are familiar with the Paris Climate Agreement that being mentioned by Fahim before this? And did you guys know how many countries that involved in this agreement? Specifically, you guys can guess whether United States are involved or not in this agreement. Surprisingly, okay, for you guys information, United States formally withdraw, okay, from this agreement after the new election for their president of United States, which President Donald Trump. Okay, the reason why President Donald Trump, okay, mocked the idea of this agreement because he thinks that this agreement was a bad one and will drop the American economic growth. But after that, there are a few consequences that happen in all over the country around the world. Because after US withdraw, okay, there are actually increasingly, okay, risk extreme weather all over country. For example, happen more intense hurricanes, heavy rain, and also longer drought. Okay, from this we can see that natural disaster happen all around the world, okay, without limitation and without sign or warning. Okay, it just happened. So we as society in our country, okay, if our government, okay, did not take part or did not want to involve in the global agreement, we as society must aware and also must concern about the issue, because if we are not concerned about the issue, what will happen to the future generation then? And what will happen to our country? Does we want to look that our earth become more sick due to the emissions of the gas and so on? Okay, ask yourself and answer this question at home.
12 seconds later.
Did you guys answer my question just now? Okay, last but not least, before I end my discussion, before I end my saving session at my YouTube channel today, okay, I want to ask you guys last question, okay. Did you guys think that global agreement is ever going to be possible? Because my own answer, impossible is not a fact, but it depends on attitude itself. Okay, thank you. That's all from me. Okay, thanks for lending me your ears and your eyes to watch this video. And last, don't forget to subscribe this video. Okay, stay safe at home. Okay, salam Ramadan and happy iftar.
Hi, it's my Sarah again. So, Atika has mentioned about developed country becoming the main contributor towards the climate change or greenhouse effect, yes? Okay, so the issue is, if the developed country are the main contributor, does this make the developing country to be exempted from such agreement like Paris Deal Agreement? I don't think so. Paris Deal Agreement is a collective agreement agreed by more than 190 countries, which they have agreed to mitigate the climate change and also to decrease the temperature below 2 degrees C. Since developed countries are the most suffered because of the consequences, Paris Deal has come out with a plan which the developed country has to continue to give financial resources towards the developing country to help them mitigate the climate change and also to increase their resilience towards the climate change. The developing countries are not excluded from affecting the environment by their economic development. Yes, for a country to develop, to become a developed country, they have to keep track with the markets and also they have to increase their economic resources. These developing activities are actually affecting the environment and also the climate change. So, I believe with the financial aid coming from the developed country, this developing country can mitigate and increase their resilience toward the climate change. That's all for me. Bye.
Hi guys! Back to me again. So, essentially how we respond to climate change now will determine how much impact it has on our planet and on future generations. If we care about improving the well-being of others, then we should try to include people of the future within this climate change, considering as predicted most of us will start to see the impact in our lifetime. We are already seeing an increase in the amount of extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and so on. We will also likely see increasing poverty as several areas become uninhabitable and industries become unprofitable, like farming due to the climate change. With his said, it makes sense to consider solutions to climate change in terms of future generations. What responsibilities do we have to the people of the future? What sacrifice should we make for future generations? That means that we need to take actions now that will benefit the future people who don't yet exist. Like for example, the government focus on solving our problems now, which is COVID-19, and they can make a positive impact rather than looking at larger problems at the scale of the future of humanity. Prime Minister also plays an important role to communicate with people daily as to increase the awareness. So same goes to anything happen due to climate change. Prime Minister need to communicate with people so that people will not panic, will not afraid, and increase the awareness. So along with considering our moral responsibility to future generations, we should also consider our moral duties to other animals and to the planet.
Climate change has been caused by human activity but will impact the species that we share the planet with. They face huge changes to the habitats that they live in and their sources of food. It is likely that a lot of species will unable to survive these changes and adapt to living on a warmer planet.
So guys, we all as the individuals, we can held accountable for helping to stop the undeniable environmental harms around us. Those of us with a degree of privilege and influence have an even greater responsibility to assist and advocate on behalf of those most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So together, we love our Earth. Thank you to all my friends that are willing to spend their time in sharing a good information. Hopefully you guys enjoy watching our video and gain some valuable knowledge from us. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Happy Iftar guys, bye bye!